Hello there, YouTubers. Traws here again. It's been quite a while since I made a video, partially because of Superstorm Sandy knocked power out here for quite a while, and partially just because I've been busy with a few other things. But I have a new video for you here today. Kind of repeating my theme from last time, clocks. Now, I'm here in a multiplayer server that I play on with a few friends, and this is our spawn area right here, this little tree and grass area. And right here we have our main minecart train station. As you can see, I'm playing on 1.4.1.4.3, I believe. That's why you see some little flickering fires occasionally. It's a little bug in the current build. As I go through here, you can see we have nice maps of the area. You can see the little green is where we are currently. That's just because that's where the map is on the map itself. And we got surrounding area here. Then this is kind of a zoomed out. I believe it's like 2 levels zoomed out. You can still sort of see some of the same features. And then this map is zoomed out as you can get. You can see kind of the continent that it's on and the ocean around. Yeah, this world has very big oceans for whatever reason. But over here we have a little nether portal, and an enchanting area, and some more useful stuff back here, and we have a minecart station. I actually didn't build this minecart station, although it is kind of completely built it myself. I should say I helped with the tracks over here, but someone else built the little switch area. I believe it's based off the same design that I showed off. We got press a minecart, dispenser dispenses it. And then you get on and press this button. You pick your destination, get on, push this button, and away you go. This version resets the settings, so a little privacy. You can't tell where the previous person went. However, on top of this building, you may recognize the look of my analog clock. And I built this basically in the last week since Superstorm Sandy, and it's a slight variation on the clock that I showed you. I do have mod powers on this server, so I'll be able to show this off a little easier. Here's the face. Right now you can see it's 9:10. It's not quite the correct time, but it's just because if players aren't in the area, it drifts off. This version, nope. This version has chimes every 15 minutes. It only runs on real time though. It does not have the Minecraft time setting because of the few modifications I had to make. One is in particular is that there's a glass ceiling, and so I didn't want to drop down into it, and my design actually had a few blocks that dropped below, so I had to rearrange stuff slightly, which slightly lengthened the time it takes for the minute hand to advance, but that made it impossible then to get the real time, or I should say Minecraft timer to work, because the minute hand or 5-minute hand would not keep up. Another change I made is there's actually 3 separate faces. This is basically the front face, and because the building is an even number wide, it's not really centered. But the 2 side faces are centered over the center of the building. There is no face on the back because that's mostly unused desert. And in the distance, you may not be you can barely see there's ocean in the distance, so nothing's really over in this direction. It's that one crazy building over there. But we got 3 faces, and we have a moon phase indicator. And this is actually totally separate, but if it's set up right, again, if no one's in the area, it misses updates and so gets out of sync with the actual game. But there's actually a light sensor on top, so during the day each day it will advance one phase, which will indicates what the phase will be at night, and this is indicating that the next phase will be a full moon. Actually, I just logged into the server just a few minutes ago, so I'll see if that's right. But another change is I actually have all the different lines color coded. I'll show you how that kind of works. It's a little tighter in here than you would expect, but it basically all starts back here with the red wool, and this is our 5-minute timer. A little block of sand in there, and this just needs to be refilled every so often. I think if you have players constantly on here, it will last at least for 2 days. So if you have periods where people aren't playing, it will last even longer. But basically, once every 5 minutes, this torch will turn on as that block of sand disappears, and that triggers the pink. The pink is the beginning of the minute hand, or 5-minute advanced signal. So it advances this little loop here, which indicates when the gold gets up here, it indicates that an hour has just changed, and so that would kick off the hour advance, which is all the blue wool here. And there's also a button down here to do it manually if you need to reset the hour. And pink signal comes up through here, up this way, and goes to the 5 faces. Similar to the previous video, it goes this to the one side face, and it has a secondary loop, so it advances twice. Comes over here, goes to the other side face, again with the secondary loop, so it advances twice. And finally it comes way over here, goes to the front face, again with the secondary loop, so that it advances twice. The rest of this is over here. These 3 piston loops here are for the 15, 30, and 45-minute chimes. Again, I'm using what I believe is the correct Westminster Chime tones. You can see on this side when there's a signal that comes in here, and we just played the 15-minute one, so it's right. That's why this white block is here. See another 5 minutes advanced, so I'll get shifted. 15 minutes here, 30 is on the far side, and 45 is in the middle. The reason for that is the 15-minute and 45-minute chime share part of their chime circuit, and the hour chime and the 30-minute chime also do the same. Basically, the 30-minute chime is just the first half of the hour chime, and the 45-minute chime is a bit of a chime, and then ending with the 15-minute one. So I actually have it wired up that way that the 45-minute chime, you can see up here, plays these note blocks, and then both those signals join right here, the 15 and the 45, to play these last 4 notes. Similarly, it's a little more complex, but the 30-minute chime comes down this way, and there's a little detector here and a latch, RS latch. But basically, the hour chime is this signal coming down here, and it starts at that block. This is the half-hour chime, also comes in here, also starts at that block, but it plays 8 notes all the way over to here. That latch that I mentioned before either turns this on or off. For the 30-minute chime, this gets powered, so this block gets pushed out so that the redstone signal will stop right there. For the hour chime, this is off. In fact, the 45-minute chime will turn this off. Actually, I think any change, basically at 35 minutes, this becomes depowered. So this block gets pulled back in, so when the hour chime goes off, it plays the whole 16-note hour-long chime. So that's basically everything for the clock faces, except I have one extra special edition. In addition to just the hour chime, the tones that play, I then have this dark gray, or dark green I should say, dark green and dark gray, but dark green is the important part. So at the end of the hour chime, this is the last note that plays, but you can see another wire coming from it, and that comes all the way up here, all the way up here into this complex monstrosity. And this will actually make a bell tone that indicates the hour. So for 1 o'clock it tones once, for 2 o'clock twice, etc. For 6 o'clock 6 times. For 12 o'clock it will tone 12 tones. And it's actually pretty complex. Basically, this line right here is the output line. And you can see actually I have little 2 note blocks right here. I then also have that line, well, it comes off this way, and it also comes down this way. So there's another 2 copies of those same 2 notes. One's on stone and one's on wool. So the wool one makes a piano sound. It's actually the lowest tone, where this makes a it's on stone, so it makes a drum or a beat, like the bell was struck. And that other copy that I showed you that came off the front comes all the way up to the front of the machine, so you can hear it clearly at the front and the back of the clock. And basically the version up here was just for testing, but I left it in. I have repeaters timed so that they all make the tone at the exact same time. But basically, the way it works is you're always going to have at least one tone. So the input comes in here and activates the output immediately. In addition, the signal is broadcasted through that piece of wool over to here, which turns off this torch and also sends a signal this way. Turning off this torch, there's a piston loop here of glass and light gray wool, and you can see the top of that loop here. Turning off that torch kind of powers. There's a piston right behind that green block which will push the wool that way, wool and glass, and that advances the loop once. So basically, well, it pushes it over, turns off this torch, which turns on this torch, which comes over here and signals the other 2 pistons here and here, and then they'll move, and they'll move quicker than 8 ticks. And then finally this one will push up to fill in the gap here. But basically it advances the hour. So besides ringing the bell for the first time, it advances the hour. Additionally, after appropriate delay, this torch turns on briefly, which powers here, which pushes a signal through this wool block if it's wool. If it's glass, it won't. If there is glass here, then it's 1 o'clock, and it will only tone once, and the signal will stop there. But if it's wool, basically the number of wool blocks here indicates the hour minus 1. So you can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that means 8 rang last. So basically, for 2 and above, there will be a wool block here instead of a glass block. So the signal gets pushed through, and that wool or glass is right here. Right under this row is a set of repeaters that are aimed this way, which will power this green block, which will turn off this torch, but at the same time, that's that torch and that green block will send another output. So that will ring it for the second time, and then this torch will go up, which will cause a off signal to be propagated through here. It's just brief. It's a quick blink and then back on, but it's enough to come all the way down here, and when the off signal reaches here, this will turn on, which will push a power through here. So if this is wool, it will go through and ring the bell again, and if it's glass, it will stop, and then another signal will come this way, and basically the same thing will happen here. Now the glowstone here is important, because if it wasn't glowstone, when this torch came on, this block would be powered, which would then power the redstone here, which would turn the torch off, and it'll basically cause the torch to blink very rapidly. But glowstone doesn't conduct power, so that does not happen. However, unlike glass, glowstone does allow you to put redstone on top of it, which allows this signal basically to work, to propagate power over here. So basically, every time one of these torches blinks, it will make another output and then send the signal back and then shift down and over one, so that the next torch can be turned off if there is a wool block. If there's a glass block, basically the first glass block we come to stops the signal and none of the rest will go. So if it's 1 o'clock, the input will cause the first output, but there will be all glass there. So nothing else will go. And 2 o'clock there'll be 1, so the first input will cause the output, and then the propagating signal will come through, make a tone again. It'll come back here again, will go forward, but then hit the glass and stop. So you only get 2 rings. 3, 4, etc., etc. But the problem is, that would mean we'd only need 1 piece of glass. But you can't have a loop that would go 11 long and just have 1 piece of glass at the bottom. So what happens is, for 12, there's all glass on the bottom. Oh, we'll get the 30-minute ring here. Yep, I'll fly over there real quick. But you can see now this piston is pushed out, so that it stopped the redstone signal, and it did not play the other half. Anyway, so if it was 12 o'clock, all these top 11 would be wool, all the bottom 11, or 10, because there's a space above that one, would be glass. And in order to prepare it for 1 o'clock next, we'd have to have these all down here. Basically, that block right there would need to be glass, so that when the signal came through and everything shifted, there'd still be a glass right there. So what happens at 12 is this would be wool. The signal would come all the way here, come through the wool, come through, and signal the output and turn this torch off, which would turn this torch on, which activates all the dark gray stuff here. And this is basically another piston loop with the same number of wool blocks, as we'd have to shift the glass blocks back around to get them into the right spot. So basically this is a big reset circuit. Once 12 hits, this goes, and it doesn't go quickly. You can see there's a whole lot of repeaters that slow it down because we basically have a whole hour in order to reset. It really only takes like a minute to reset. But every time it gets shifted around, and you can see a little different than some of my previous piston loops, but this glass here indicates that it's stopped. Starting it moves that glass out of the way and then keeps running the machine until the glass moves back there, because there'll be power coming through which powers half of this, and the other half gets powered as the signal loops around to continue. So when the glass gets back here, this half of the AND is turned off, which prevents the signal from coming back around again and pushing. Something similar happens on this side as long as there's power, and when this piston gets activated, we basically have these two and that making an AND, so that when the signal comes through here, it sends a signal this way, which activates the piston loop, but without activating the tones. So it will shift the piston loop around 8 times while not making any bell sounds. And that's how this works. I'll show this off real quick by manually advancing the hour. You'll hear the normal hour chime followed by the bells. And I'll try to fly up there so you can see what's happening. Actually, in order to do that, zombie somewhere, I'm going to have to turn this off temporarily, so that pulls the block back in so we get the full hour chime. Like I said, that either happens at the 35 or the 45. I forgot exactly how I wired that up, but it does reset before the hour chime plays. So I'm going to advance the hour. See the power going through. And that's it. Kept coming back here. And this torch lit. But you can see there's glass here, so it did not go through and did not continue propagating. Once it does get to 12, again, this whole piston loop here gets activated, which every time this shifts one, it also shifts the main piston loop, or the counter piston loop, basically keeps track of the hour until down here, that's glass, and the wool, the first wool of the 11 wool blocks are right there. So basically resetting it to the 1 o'clock position. And that's how this hourly tone chime works. The one other part to show off is this moon phase indicator. Again, we got a simple day-night indicator. Basically, when it gets dark enough, because this grass is under a block that lowers the light by more than 1, and the light level here does get below 4, that this grass will die into a normal dirt block. And this piston here is set up as a bud switch, You can see it's not receiving power right now, but it is still extended. And so as soon as this block updates, it causes the piston to retract. Doing that causes this redstone to attach to this redstone, and for the power to turn off this redstone, which stops the signal this way. At the same time, this becomes powered, but the piston does not detect it right away, and then is in another metastable state where any update would cause it to come out. Because it's pulled back, it now exposes the dirt to enough light that it will grow in the daytime. So when it does become daytime, it then gets pushed back out and turns this torch back on. So when this little edge detector here, when it detects it's become day, it briefly sends a signal out. And this looks a little complex, but basically when that turns on, these sets of 4 pistons here pull back, and these this set of 4 pistons is pushed forward, and then basically that undoes itself. So that shifts all these blocks this way. Then this, at the same time that or just after that happens, this set of pistons gets pushed forward because these blocks were pulled back. There's now a space there, and then because these are filled in, once that piston pushes out and comes back, these pistons activate to push the set here forward again, basically rotating this whole set of blocks in a clockwise fashion. Which you can see it will advance the display one phase. Here you can see we have a 3/4, and it's actually becoming less and less full. It was just past full. In the real world, the moon phases, or the terminator as it's called, the line that separates light from dark on the moon, that travels from right to left across the face of the moon. I'm not actually sure if Minecraft models that correctly, or if it goes from left to right. But that's my clock. The different colored wool makes it easy to show what different parts of the circuit do. One thing I don't think I explained, but in here. There we go. Yeah, so the pink wool, I said, is the 5-minute hand. The blue wool is the hour hand. The yellow is the rest of the minute hand, but it's not directly powered by anything. It actually is powered by this torch right here. Once the minute hand movement has started, a block gets pushed over here. The whole rest of the minute hand movement is this yellow, and it's powered off that one torch that sends a brief signal throughout the yellow signal. The green signal here still that amazing how well this all works with all these moving parts. The green, as I kind of indicated before, is the chime circuit, with the dark green being the hour tones, and the dark gray being the reset signal for those hour tones, and then the purple being the moon phase circuit, which again is totally separate from anything else. And that's my clock. I'll try to get a copy of this building. Every so often the guy who runs this server does make a copy available for download, but it may be a week or two before he does that. I think he only does it about once a month. But when he does do that, I'll get a copy of this building and put it up somewhere for download. And I hope you all enjoyed this, and have fun playing Minecraft. Keep on designing cool new buildings and machines. See y'all next time.